Hey, I'm going to do a video on my current obsession, and that is collaging. Now, I used to collage a little bit on and off for the last 3 years, and I'll talk about that in other videos. But this time, with the pandemic and everything, being stuck at home and just wanting something to be more playful, not too serious with my art, I decided to do more collaging, and I started filling up this book here. And I want to show you what I have. And it's been interesting because I started out just being, just putting things together. And then I started developing a little style of my own, which I will show you. So here's the book. I have a little video about this previously on my tarot channel. So this is how I started out. Very simply, I just took papers that I liked and these characters that I liked, cut them out and put them on, arrange them on paper. I'm working with a book, and this is all done on paper from book pages from a very old book. And I have quite a few more. It's a nice big thick book, so I'll talk more about that in another video. I like the white space, so I started out with this. I liked how this may translate into my paintings is these colors. I really like this mint green with the purple and the red, the violet and the red and the yellow. I like those 4 colors together. So very simple, just cut it out. I was just ripping the pages and putting them down in some kind of order that I thought was visually pleasing. Continued with the same sort of thing, a woman in these torn papers, less color. There's a little diversion of color here, kind of muted and more muted colors here. So again, I'm experimenting. I'm putting things down on paper. No stress, nothing to worry about. Just kind of throwing it down and seeing what appeals to me and moving forward. Again, I'm continuing with sort of the same headset. I don't see a lot of changes in these pictures now that I look back on them. I'm getting into more of the neutral tones. I'm putting more circles in. I'm putting in a little handwriting in this. Now I am using, this is essentially true analog collage where you're just gluing papers on paper onto paper, and that's kind of a pure, they call it pure collage or analog collage. I am using pen, but that's all I'm using on this. I'm not moving into the mediums of charcoal or pencil or acrylics, gouache, watercolor, stencils, all those kinds of things. Now I'm moving on. Here I have, it's much heavier. This is not so heavy. I put her in some other colors, which I kind of like, the different colors, more modern colors with her, but not crazy about it. This got really heavy, and I didn't like it at all. Although I do like this. I like this skinny stuff here. I think I would get rid of this. At some point, I hope to do a video on how I could use medium and change this up. But there's going to be some concerns with that. I'd probably have to use gesso, which I'll talk about, because I do have some knowledge of art materials, so I can talk. I also want to talk about how to use different medium on different substrates and that sort of thing, and how it affects it. I'm continuing with this heaviness here. I kind of like this. I'm getting into the circle thing, which I'm liking, the circle element. Now here, I very much ripped up the paper to get the white parts of the rip, which is also a ripping technique. You can rip paper either way. You can rip it so it doesn't have any white space, or you can rip it where there is white space. And it's something that you consider when you're doing collage. I really like this page. I like the cruciform shape. I like the golden section up here. I like that she's looking out there. I like the contents. There's type, but it's not a lot of type. So this page I was really happy with. I think this is the first page where I was really happy. It seems like, there's another circle here. There's more of my lettering. This is a new person I think I've found, and I've been using her. There's some dimensionality here. This is covering kind of the whole page. I don't like this. It's very dark. There's not enough. There's no contrast. It's interesting, but you learn from it. You learn what you like and what you don't like. Again, continuing with the same, a woman with these, colors around her, this sun thing with my lettering. This had, I was, for a while in my art, I was printing on tracing paper, so it was very diaphanous paper with a black coloration, a black picture on it. This was a big tree. Well, I put it on there, it was just too much was going on. So then I ripped it off, and I got all these little blank spots to my the printing, and that's called decollage, and that's when you take stuff away from a collage. So that was interesting. I had great hopes for this. I wanted to add more color, a very simple design, sort of, and I don't like this at all. This was a fail for me. But I learned that too much color for me isn't my thing. Now, someone else could use this and do really creative things with it. But for me, the simple design, too much color, too much going on, I don't care for it. This one this is more of my printed tracing paper. As I put this down, I lowered everything, and I like that. And then I put in more circles. She's holding a circle. I am going to talk more about, I'm going to have a little video about this, because what this is, there's no inks on this at all. So I want to show what happens when you circle everything, or when you put shadows on everything. And that could be, I think that'll be an interesting task for me to do and video, because then I will learn it again, when I want to outline it, when I want to shadow it, and when I want to leave it alone. So I'm going to go into that. Again, more of these girls, these women, circle, circle. Really like this section here. So when you do something like that, you look at things and you think, oh, that's cool, I like that, and you take it on. This was a great print, but I'm not, after I put it actually down the paper, it felt very stilted. Now we come onto this page. This is page 10, so I've done 20 of them, and I really like this page. It has the circle here, but I pulled a little circle out and put it in her hand. You can do this with punches, which I will talk about, supplies. There's all kinds of punches for all kinds of shapes, and they're very helpful when you do collage. Then I like this. I like the coloration. I like the white. I like the dark. I really think this is a beautiful composition. And this one, I was bringing my art into this, and it was dark, light, and I did that, and then it sort of flows this way, and it's a modernistic take on a vase, and I really like this. Now these circles I circled, I did outline in black. I like this one. This page is really, for me, I like that page. Now I'm getting into other things here. I'm experimenting more. I actually decided to do like a still life with a table and a chair and a bottle and then some flowers on top. This is all abstract, sort of. And then this was another one where I was just doing things on top of each other, just kind of looking at color and design and seeing how that went. So that, again, more experimentation. There is a very famous collagist, Kurt Schwitters, who did some beautiful collages that were sort of like this. I kind of looked at his and tried to take what I could from his and put it down in this. It's a poor representation. But I do like this section here, which is the focal point, but you don't really see it that much, I don't think, because of the red up there. There's ways of making your focal point stand out more with medium, like with paints and stuff, gouache or gesso, or it'd be easy to do. So, but that's good. I learned that I didn't like covering the whole page, and I did it here again. And here you can see I got a little bored with it, and I just started throwing the pages down, the pieces down. I used ink on both of these, and you can see how the pages look larger. They look larger to me. These are all the same substrate. They're all the same pages, same sizes. Okay, so I'm back to another group of paintings. I really like this. It's so simple. There's the pen and the heart and the man fishing, and then there's Mona, who's in so many of. It's very often very used as a subject in collages. And then I had some writing of my own that I put in there. I sort of cut it vertically and wove it in. This is another one where I filled the whole page. I'm not happy with it at all. Very dark, very not good. Then I did this girl. This was interesting. This is a very different picture. I cut. She had a lot of different things on her, and I cut her down, and I just dressed her up. Turned out pretty good. I had great hopes for this painting. It was a bust. I think this brown thing really kind of killed it. I think this should have been midnight blue or something. And this is Kurt Schwitter from one of his paintings. I cut it all up and I made my own design, and I added 3 of my own colors, 3 of my own little things in there. And this is a different design than his. I really like this one too. I'm really liking circles, as you can see, and I like these sharp things going in. This is another from Kurt Schwitter's collage. I cut it up and tried to make something else. I'm not happy with this one at all. Now we're starting to get into something that I all of a sudden discovered about myself. I'm sort of telling a little story here. There's a woman. I see it as springtime. The colors are not springtime, but I see it as springtime. Her hat is blowing off her head. The flowers, this is sort of an abstract flower vase, are sort of going in this direction. So I see this as kind of a little bit of a story with a person. Again, we have this one here. This reminded me of the High Priestess a little bit. Someone in thought, the doors behind her. I added some things. I really like this. I had the form of her, and then I added this collage dress. It was from the Citrusol papers, which I'll talk about as well in another video. Okay, now we come into, this is just, you know, something I like the dark light aspect to this picture, but it didn't excite me. Again, it's covering the whole page. Now here's where I made a dramatic change in my collaging. I'm starting to tell a story. This is called The Last Ride, and there's a story that goes with this, but it's a girl on the subway, and it's kind of monochromatic. There's a lot of interesting placement of things. I really like this. And then we get into the storytelling aspect. So now I'm into storytelling. And I'm going to talk about how I figured this out for myself. But this is called Empty Nest. This is called The Interview. This is more storytelling. We have Returning Home, A Tower Moment, we have Waiting, and there's a story with this. And then I have The Fool. If you know tarot, some of these some of the collages are reminiscent of tarot decks. This is a man in a art gallery, and there's a story with this. This is The Seamstress, and there's a little story with that. I'm getting into sort of fantasy a little bit, building up a collage. This probably has 20 pieces of collage in it, and it's the girl with the pearl earring, and she's flying above everything. There's a story with that. And here's a girl. I see her as maybe going somewhere for the first time, but in the tower there's someone looking at her, and there's a story with that as well. Now we're going into rooms. I started designing rooms, not designing them, but sort of playing around with building a room with pieces of paper. I call this the brunch, and this is a fireplace. This is a bedroom. This is loosely based on Van Gogh. This is loosely based on Matisse. Matisse is all red. This was a centered, I centered the focal point, and this is a little bit of Alice in Wonderland. I again took out one of the circles and put it down here. It's a very kind of a quirky picture, but I like it a lot. This one is When the Egg Cracks. There's 3 people. This is the same person that is going through some changes, and when the egg cracks, this is where the birds fly out. So there's a story with that. La Feria, which is a carnival type picture. And this is something that I remember from my youth when I lived in Spain, and we would go to the carnival on in the evening, and there'd be shooting, those little shooting galleries, and there'd be a lot of people, and there'd be little rides, and I remember that. This is called Friday at 5:30 p.m. This girl working overtime. She's not happy about it, but she's an office person having to work late on Friday afternoon. This is a girl picking flowers. Does he love me? Does he love me not? This, I don't know what this is. I was just adding things. I was not happy with this. The beige on the black and the white just kind of drained everything out of the page. That tree that I had on another page was around her head like Medusa. It's kind of troubling, actually. So here we have this gentleman has a story. He's on a sailboat for the weekend. So it's something about a weekender sailing. This is it's more abstract than the others, but I really liked how it turned out. And this is a completely abstract design of my own. And it's interesting how I came up with put this together. There's a lot of paper in this, a lot of different sizes of paper. And I will talk about the construction of this piece in another video. Okay, now we're getting into another more storytelling. This is, oops, oh, that's not great. I call this the seduction or temptation. Again, if you are familiar with tarot, you would see the devil card in this. There's a woman, she's being told what to do, or she's listening to her bad angels here. She should be careful. And this person here is a storyteller. I got a lot of pictures from Durer, the 15th century, his famous rhinoceros, and then he has these wonderful ladies that I'm using in the collages now. And this is also his writing. I'll talk about how you find material for your collages. Of course, you can find them anywhere. This is surprisingly a very simple design, which actually took longer than you would think. It's called Mood Swings. It's about a lady going through some mood changes. This is a very very neat collage, I'd say, called Afternoon in the Attic, when someone is going through their family history, either in the attic or the cellar or garage, and through boxes and drawers. Then we have, we have A Mother's Wish, a little bit more involved, a very strong story. Here's the mother, here's the couple. She's shooting a gun at this guy, and there's a story here. This is really one of my better designs. I mean, it's so perfect in many ways. Very angular, but still you have your golden section here. It's just a pretty design, and it worked out really well. There's a story here, but I haven't told it yet. And then lastly, there's still more room. But yesterday I did this one, and this is just scraps. And of course, it's scraps. There is some color continuity here. And there is the focal points, which are 3, and they're not in the center. They're still in the sort of the golden sections of the page. And I kind of like this, but it's very fussy. It's like fussy cutting, which we will talk about again. So here you have my little art journal about my collaging that I've been doing for the last 6 weeks. It's been a wonderful experience, and I now want to do a YouTube channel about it, because there's a lot to say about this, and there's a lot to discover for anybody. I mean, anyone can do collaging, and it's a lot of fun. I have some good books. One book disappeared, but if you're so interested in looking at other collages by other artists, this is a really nice little book I found on Amazon called the Collage Ideas book. And there's another book I'm going to recommend, but it's under something. I can't seem to see it right now. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll be back with a lot more videos on collaging. Have a great day.